Hello guys, this is AC, your animal companion here, and I'm bringing you another guide video on Under Night 2's Orie. Today we're going to be going over Orie's most powerful corner setup, and that is the corner steer ender into 2-2-C. So what is this setup and why is it good? This is a setup that I think NA really started becoming familiar with after Gutsu traveled over here to Climax of Night and then showed all of us NA Ories how to do it. It's a pretty cool setup. What we do is you do a steer ender, which leaves you very plus 47 on all of your knockdowns. You whiff a thrust, and then you do 2-2-C. What it does is, if you time it correctly, you can get a combo off of the back throw. Just like that. And what's nice is even if they guard and tech it, let's see. Yeah. Whoops. I meant to have throw tech on. Yeah, throw tech on. Okay. See, they tech my throw there. I am still plus 48 up to plus 50 on block. So that means that even if they guess correctly, they tech the throw, it is still my turn. I can immediately just do a 6B and hit them anyways. So very powerful setup. Makes them guess, gives you good reward on your throw. Good reward even if you're wrong on your throw. And additionally, it is safe to DPs and 2A and like reversal throws if you just decide to shimmy them. And it gives you a lot of reward if you're right on that shimmy as well. So let's go over how to perform the setup. What we're going to do is just do a steer ender, and then usually get some sort of visual indicator for when the steer ender is over, and do a divine thrust, either A or B version. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then do a 2-2-C immediately. Just like that. Maybe not just like that, because I was a little late, but that's the idea. So let's talk about 2-2-A versus, or A thrust versus B thrust, and what their differences are. So B thrust is the one I'm going to cover first. It's the one I usually do. One of its main advantages is that it carries your opponent a long distance. If you notice, whenever I do steer ender into B thrust, when Orie moves forward, she's going to push her opponent onto the ground, which means that you can actually do this setup from farther out. You don't have to be directly into the corner. So if I do steer ender from right here, you see the B thrust pushes them into the corner, and then I can do the setup. That's pretty nice. So it gives you a little bit of extra corner carry. And then once you're in the corner, you do the setup like that, and then the B thrust pushes you out far enough to where if they do a wake up throw, I will just be out of range. And now, if I do a B thrust and I want to get a throw, I have to do a dash back throw. And that's how that lands. Now for A thrust, some of the its advantage is that you have to do it quicker. Now that's not an advantage for me because I play on stick and I have difficulty doing the setup in general. But if you have really fast hands, you can do the 2-3-6-A, 2-2-C really quickly. You might find the A thrust more comfortable. Particularly if you're a leverless player, you can do a shortcut where you do 2-3-6-A into immediate 2-C. Just like that. And if you're perfect, it will count the down input from the 2-3-6-A as your first input for the 2-2-C. Let's see if I can get one of those in the corner. Yeah, that's what it should look like. Now for both of these, while you're practicing, you're going to want to turn on the frame data counter, which is right here, to make sure you're getting this set up correctly. They have different frame data, but for B thrust, if you do it perfectly, you'll get it will be +0. So that was -3. I don't know if I'll get a +0 one, but that's what it is. It's supposed to be +0 if you get it for a B thrust. Yeah, that was pretty negative. -2. You can see there's variable frame data. And then for A thrust, it can be up to +4, so that one's perfect. Also worth noting that for A thrust, if they do wake up throw, we are actually still in range for their throw. See, they can throw us out of it. So instead of just crouching there like we do for B thrust, what we have to do for A thrust is walk out of their throw range. We can still shimmy them, but we just have to walk backwards just a little bit. So that is how you perform the setup. Whether you do A thrust or B thrust is entirely up to preference, depending on your controller, which one you find more comfortable to input, which one you can get more consistently. That's just going to be up to you. Also, I would say it's worth noting that you do not have to get the perfect setup every time. I usually don't. As you can tell, I'm messing it up a lot. But so that was perfect, but a lot of the times I'll be like up to, yeah, that one's -2, which is perfectly fine. That doesn't really hurt the setup. I think if you're -4 or better on B thrust, or you're like -2 or better on A thrust, that's all fine, because the setup still works and you're still safe from any reversal. In fact, it might be a little bit of a benefit to be slightly delayed, and I'll get into that in a second. So let's talk about Orie's mix-up options once she gets this setup in the corner. The most obvious one, and the one that the setup is kind of built around, is the back throw, which I did earlier, and I'm going to attempt to do again. There we go. That's pretty much the highest damage combo we can get. It obviously scales the combo quite a lot, and the reward is 2142, and it puts your opponent mid-screen. So it is very cool that we get a throw combo here, but this reward is pretty middling. It's only 2100 damage, and also, very importantly, it gives up corner positioning. Now you can theoretically spend some meter, like do 2 through 6C into steer under side swap, do the this side swap route. But you already spent 100 meter and grid to get the setup in the first place, so spending that, then getting the hit, then spending more resources to get them back into the corner on a combo that still doesn't do very much damage is a pretty tough sell. So in general, I'd say I'd usually only recommend the back throw if it's going to kill, or it's going to put them at a really important threshold. But keep in mind that it works for immediate tech, and you're going to just get about a 2100 damage combo. Also, really important to note that you'll see every time I do the throw tech, I'm getting 7 hits on the 2-2C. 7 hits is the amount you want. 6 or fewer, and it does not work. If you get 8 hits on it, it can work, but it might make the pick up weird or slightly different timing. So you want to get 7 hits, and that's going to be really important. Also, as we discussed earlier, if I put them on throw break, oops, let's do, yeah, I'm +50, and then I can 6-speed them or do whatever other move I want after that. So that's pretty nice. Okay, now let's go to reversal baiting. This is really where we're making money off of this setup. So let's say they try to do reversal throw. They want to take a throw. Whoops. Get about 4,000 damage. You can, if I was a little bit better, I could get a little bit more damage, but yeah, 4,000 off of that, which is great. That's what you get if they take a throw or they do a grounded reversal. You're just going to smoke them. Sometimes they'll do awkward reversal like a DP, and that's going to put him at the top of the 2-2C. This is what that looks like. Oops. Significantly less damage, but since they're at the top of the 2-2C like that, that's pretty much the best you can get. And very stable combo, very high damage combo, keeps him in the corner. That's really the hit you're looking for with this setup. Everything else is just kind of gravy. Next we'll do dash forward throw. This is an option I'm going to talk about a lot, but I want to show what it looks like. Whoops. So that's what it looks like. At best, you get 1800 damage, and they are put into the corner. So this is always going to be an air tech situation, so your opponent can tech forward. That's usually not that big of a deal, because, as I'll demonstrate, they can never tech out of the corner. You're always going to keep them there, unless you fully dash forward. So if I fully dash forward, they can tech out, but if I stand still or I do just a single dash block, they can't tech out. So the forward throw is really good there. What's also nice about this one is you don't have to worry about the hits of the 2-2C. You're just forward throwing them, getting a little bit of extra damage, and continuing to run corner pressure. Next, we've got Orie's classic mix-up options in 2-2C, which are 6B, and we want to mix that up with 4C 2AA and Assault JA. So I'll do the variable guard, and we'll see what those look like off the 2-2C. Also worth noting, I'm going to mix up 6B and 4C 2AA here. You always want to do 2 2As so that the low hits at the same time. Low is hitting at the same timing as the 6B. So yeah, here's what that looks like in the combos afterwards. Oops. There you go. That's 6B hitting, or 6B hitting. You can also do 2C 2AA. Whoops, missed the jump cancel, but same basic combo. You guys get it. Next, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm going to do a late 2-2C hit. So this is going to be after they tech our throw and we're plus 50 and we get those hits. What does that conversion look like? So let's do crouching first. I'll do that one more time with the actual combo. There you go. So for that one, we need to do a 2A link combo because the 2-2C is still active, which means I can't do this, and the 2-2C also doesn't pop them up, so I have to just link with the normal, but that's no problem. And then if they just hit low, we'll just go into a regular corner 2-way confirm. Oops. The timing on that 4C is weird. Yeah, you just go into regular two-way combos, so I don't feel like just troubleshooting that all day because the timing can be weird, but that's what the combo looks like. Next for Assault JA, it's going to look pretty similar. Right. I'm only going to do the easy combo here because the full combo on Assault JA is actually really finicky. So you guys look at that one in the written guide, but I'm just going to do the easy one there. 2700 damage. It's an Assault JA. Next, we're going to really talk about where this setup gets tricky. And that's going to be on Delay Tech. So, Delay Tech is a very powerful anti-set play option in Under Night, and so we're learning a set play setup, then we're going to have to learn how to play around it. So there's good news and bad news. The good news is that if you are just always doing this setup and they do a delay tech, which I'm gonna have them do a delay tech here, the worst possible scenario is that they wake up into your into your 2-2C, which means you don't get a throw mix-up, but you're still plus 89 and you can do a high-low. It's not the best. The 6B and the Assault JA are reactable. People will react to it offline. But that's a pretty nice, stable option, even if they just choose to delay tech all the time. It gets a lot harder, but if you want to represent throw on these delay techs, you're going to have to start delaying your 2-2C set. Especially if you want to do a back throw into it. There's a timing that I like to set it at, which I'm going to call the slight delay timing. This slight delay timing is going to leave us -6 on immediate tech and +4 on full delay tech. So there's a 10 frame variance there. On immediate tech will be -6, and on delay tech will be +4. So I'm going to talk about that when we go over a couple of our mix-up options again on delay tech. But the reason that I like it is -6 on immediate tech means that we are safe to almost every DP in the game, and we're still safe to stand tech because we're out of the way. They're going to have to kind of play the RPS correctly, where you do a delay 2-2C and they immediate tech, so they guessed right, and then they immediately mash 2A. That's going to be pretty much the only thing this loses to. Which is, I'll try to get it here. That was +3, so that was pretty much it. And then we'll see on immediate tech. Whoops. That's pretty much where we want to be. So -8 there. Ideally, we're about -6. That's going to mean that we're not losing to do DPs, but we will lose to wake up 2As on immediate tech. So let's talk about the different options that Orie has and how they interact with delay tech. The big one is back throw. So it's possible to do back throw on immediate tech because it's auto-timed. That's nice. I can always get the back throw combo. It'll always hit 7 times. It's a pretty good option. On delay tech, you really have to delay this to get to the 2-2C to get to hit the proper amount of times. I've got a recording here of it doing that, and let's take a look at what it looks like. See, I'm going to do hold nothing, do full delay tech. They're going to back throw me into it and do the combo. You say, okay, great. So there is a timing that you can get that. But the issue is that if I immediate tech, you see I am plus 11 there on the screen. That's what it says, plus 11. So if you guess incorrectly, you try to do the throw setup, back throw setup on a full delay tech, and they do an immediate tech, you're going to be minus 11, you're going to be punishable. So I'll have them do the setup again. That is a punish. That's a very big punish. I can get whatever combo I want. This is extremely dangerous. Also, you can see... Whoops. DP's straight up punish. Pretty much any option that your opponent wants to do off of immediate tech will beat you if you go for this. So this is a very dangerous option to go for. And also keep in mind that the reward is 2100 damage and a mid-screen Okie. So not very great. The good news is that that a lot of your other options are still pretty stable here. So if you just want to bait a reversal, you can do this on either immediate timing or slight delay timing. You'll always bait the reversals, and you'll still get those combos, and baits will function exactly the same. Something else that also still functions well is the forward throw setup. I'm going to use a save state for this one because this one is pretty tricky to time consistently. Like I said, I really like a slight delay timing, which is -6 on immediate tech and +4 on delay tech, which is what I got here. So I take this over, you'll see that I can get a forward throw, I can still represent that option here, and it's still a mix-up. But if I get a back throw, it's not going to be auto-timed. I cannot get a full combo off of this. What I'm saying is that if you want to do a forward throw instead of a back throw to full combo, you can represent that at a lot more timings. You don't have to do max delay 2-2C just to get it. You can do slight delay 2-2C, you can do immediate 2-2C, and on a lot of tech timings, you'll get it. You'll still be able to get the forward throw and represent that as a real mix-up. The reward is, obviously, not as high. It is only 1750 right there. But you get to keep the corner, and you get to run the full mix-up, which means that you can sometimes get the hit that you really want, which is this. And lastly, we've kind of been over this a little bit, but even if they do delay tech, and I do this setup, I can always go for a high-low. They're slightly delay it. I can always go for that. So the 6B, 4C, 2AA, and the Assault JA, those are always going to be stable no matter what. I'll say that you're probably going to find more success if you do 2-2C and then immediately into them. But if you'd like, you can also confirm that they're blocking the 2-2C. And then do the mix-up. Both of those are fine. Like I said, it's a little bit harder to see if you do it immediately, but if you want to confirm they're blocking and then do the overhead or low, that also works. So that was the video, that was the guide. I hope you found this helpful and you'll be able to perform this soon. I wanted to make this because I think this is a setup that's not understood super well, and also I had some strong opinions about the risk-reward, especially of going for a back throw and how that interacts with delay tech. Because whenever your opponent starts delay tech, you are going to enter into an RPS situation, which I still think is very favorable for Orie and still makes, and the setup is still worth going for, even when they start doing that. But maybe try to do forward throw instead. And keep in mind that the hit that we want most is not the throw, it's the shimmy. This is the one that's going to end rounds. So hope this was helpful for you, and I'll catch you guys next time.